Alright, welcome back to the next edition of Cars for the Clueless. Sorry it's been a few years since I made my last one. As you see, I've now got a greyer beard and I need glasses. For those who don't know, I don't actually have a garage, but I have a friend who has a garage, and this is where we are today. Nobody else here during lockdown, so I'm doing my best to social distance from people. I have my daughter's Ford Fiesta here. It has a mysterious leak, oil leak, that we're going to investigate today. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but the leak seems to be coming from this little plastic box here, so we're going to open that up, see what's inside. Let's pull these little flaps here. Let's put another one around here. Okay, so the front housing comes off. It's just got a series of clips that you have to undo, and quite tricky at the top, but you just ping those and it comes off. Just give it a wiggle. Don't know if you can see, but there's a little seal here, the gearbox selector seal, that's leaking. So we're going to have to try and replace that. Now I can see what we're doing here. I've got to take this housing off because there's a little torque screw at the back which holds this on so that I can then change the seal. Unfortunately, it's got a little hole in the back that's not quite big enough. I'm sure some of you could maybe wiggle through the gap in the back, but I'm going to take this off, and for that I need some 8mm sockets, which I have prepared earlier. Exhibit number 1. Okay, let me see that, so I'll put that up there, somewhere I won't lose it. Put it in the second one is there, on the bottom, just on the bottom there. So, now there must be another clip somewhere else. There, it's there. So I'll take my extension off. And number 3. I'll show you what I'm looking at. Now, what is this? What you can see, which I couldn't get into with the assembly, is there's a little torque screw there, which I suspect holds the assembly on to give me access. So that will just slide off, and then I can get what I need from there. And I'm just going to make sure I've got the right seal for it, and then I'm going to drain the gearbox oil, because I don't want to get covered in gearbox oil. Okay, so I bought one of these on eBay, and it seems to Focus C-Max Fiesta. It said it was one of these. So it's just a little, you can see how it just plugs in, and the damaged one that I'll be replacing is there. I'm just going to make sure it's the right size, and it does look identical to me, so we're going to risk it. 15 quid on eBay it was. Okay, so now I need to drain the oil. It's a 22mm socket, so it goes here, and I'll have to go get myself a bucket to catch this oil in. I'll be right back. So what I've done here is I've got an old oil. So what I've done here is I've got an old oil container. I've cut a hole in the top, and I'm going to put this as a magnetic. You know, when you're taking bolts out, it just holds the bolts. You can just leave it so you don't lose your bolts. So I'm going to put this magnetic thing in there, and hopefully that'll catch any particles, any metal particles that have been floating about in the gearbox, because I'm going to reuse the gearbox oil because it's terribly expensive. Okay, here we go. Got my gloves back on. I'm going to drain the gearbox oil and catch it in my red tub. I'll just slacken it off first. Let's loosen up a bit now. Get my tub. I catch any remnants. I could probably do this with my fingers now. you don't want to get this stuff on you, it's not the nicest. I need a pee. Just leave that on the ground now, that seems to have found a space. And once it's drained, I'll go have a cup of coffee. Once that's drained, I'll put the plug back in, and then we'll figure out where to put it back in on the way up. I'll just okay, that's the gearbox oil drain. I'm just going to put this back in, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Do it with hand to start with, and then tighten it up. Okay, got to tighten it up. Tight, but not tight enough to strip the bolts, strip the threads. You'll know. And then we can work on the next bit. I'll give it a little clean up, and then we can work on the next section. Come on. It's a longer thread than I was expecting. All you professional mechanics are going, hurry up. There we go. There we go, it's tight. I can feel it locking there, and then just give it another little, just a little bit, okay? Just to seal it up. Brake cleaner is a wonderful substance. I'll clean up some of this mess. Okay. No doubt I'll get a few comments about that. Get your own channel. Okay, so we're going in here. I'll see if I can set the torch up. Can you see this little bolt here is a T40. Now I could have done with a longer one of these, but I've only got the short one, and I'll have to use an extension because a longer one would go in there without banging off this bit, but we'll see what we can do with it. T40. There we go. Okay, that's in the way, I'm hoping this will just then slide off. That's it. You see that? Just push down this plastic bit and pull it off, and that should then give me a bit more room to investigate what I'm trying to do, which is take, I don't know if you can see this, right over here. We've got to take this, pull that out that way. Okay, it's on some sort of pin, so I'll just give it a wee slide in a minute. Disconnect this, disconnect this. This is my next step. So basically to do this, you just prise it off. It should just prise off. Might take a bit of prising. These things just pop usually. That's that one off. You see that? Pop that one off. And then I'll try and do the same for this one. And they should hopefully pop back. I'll try not to snap. Right, so that's that out the way. No longer attached to that. Okay. We're learning as we go along here. You'll notice there's a little circlip. Don't know if you can see it, there's a little circlip here. On this, we've got to take the circlip off. And I'm hoping that pin will just slide out. There we go. That's the circlip. Remember to put that back on. Okay, so once we've removed that pin, the pin that goes in there, this should just slide off. It slides off here. Once we remove that split pin, just pull that out. Try not to tear any boots. Push that back on there. Move this out of the way. And we've got this in our hands. Now this took me a little while to suss out. I don't know, I'll just move this so you can see. Under here. Now this, you have to hammer this off. I've already loosened it, but as you can see, there's a bit of corrosion there, which meant it was really tough to get this off. So all I did was I used a little chib and I hammered this. Now you might have to use, I actually had to spin it round a couple of times. First I hit it this way, and then I hit it down the way, and it became loose. And now it should hopefully just pop off. Easier said than done. I'm trying to video it. I don't want to smash my iPad. Here we go. There we go. We now have this little gem here. I'm going to clean up this, the end here, and give it a little lubrication so that everything works out bra. And now, I don't know if you can see there, this little seal should just slide off, and there's a little bit that was stuck in. Get my big blue screwdriver. Just we'll give it a little wiggle, try not to scratch the shaft. There's the end that was causing all the problems, and I'll just clean this up at the end there, and then I will put the new shaft on with a 16mm swan neck, I believe. Now what I'm going to do, the end of this is quite corroded. I'm going to use a bit of emery cloth here and just take it off. I'm not going to do the shaft because that needs movement on it, but all it does is that little metal thing, little lug goes on here. But probably don't need to do this, but it just makes it easier for the next guy who has to put another seal on. And I suspect, with this being my daughter's car, the next guy will be me. So I'm just making my job a bit easier for the next time round. And what I'll do is I'll lubricate, I'll put some oil on that shaft to make putting the seal on a lot easier. Now I've got my seal, I'll have my seal here, and I've also got a 16mm socket. I'm going to push it on with the 16mm socket. I'm going to run some oil on the inside of the seal just now, just to the last thing I want to do is tear this seal as I put it on, so I'll just take a wee bit of engine oil and put it around. Hope you can see that. I'm getting blinded by my own light here. There we go. Okay, so on the seal, a wee bit of oil. And hopefully a wee bit round where it goes in. I wasn't showing you there, I was just looking at it myself. There we go. And I'll just push that on with a 16mm socket, and that'll be most of the job done. So, let's turn this iPad round. Can you see? I'm going to put this on here. That's why I oiled it, make sure it slides on with ease. And then I'm going to push it on with a socket. Just chap it on. It's a bit tough actually, tougher than I was expecting. What I'll do is I'll oil the shaft, for want of a better expression. Make it go on as easy as possible. There we go. That's the shaft oiled. There we go. Once you get it started, it's fine. Okay, now I'm going to shove that into the hole using the 16mm socket. Just, oh, I might not use the socket actually, I'm going to use a 16mm ring spanner. Okay, so I now have the seal on. I said I was going to do it with a socket. The socket's not working that well, so I'm now going to try it with a ring spanner. We'll edit the video. I'll just tell you if it works. The ring spanner seems to work a treat. Right size. Just push that in. And that's that. I'll just tap it in with a small hammer. Make sure it's seated. Here's my small hammer. Here's my small hammer here. Okay, so just tap it in with the small hammer. I just take my torch and just check that it's sealed all the way around. Yep, that's that nicely bedded in there, and that won't leak again. Yeah, that's nice. Good job. And that's it done. Just have to do a reversal of the moves to reassemble it and then test it out. That didn't take too long. Not for you guys to watch. I had a few things to figure out, but thanks for watching Cars for the Clueless, and hopefully we'll see you again. So we're going to have to put the oil back in, the gearbox oil. I'm just assuming that this is the drain switch. I can't see how to put it back in up at the top. So what I'm going to do is I've taken this little clip off here, taking that off, just push it in at the top and pull that reverse light switch. I'm going to take that off and then I'm going to fill it from there. I'm sure there'll be some experts tell me exactly how to do it, but if you've got the knowledge, please share it. Okay, thank you. Okay, for this you'll need a 22mm deep socket. Just goes over like so. And it loosens off quite quick. You can do the rest by hand. Oh, don't even need the socket for that. And this is where I'm going to refill the gearbox oil. I'm going to put it in. Now what I found really frustrating is I can't find anything online about this. There's some American models, there's some Focuses. I mean, even I saw one guy, he did it, but he didn't show me how to get the little thing off the end of the piston there. So hopefully this will give you a little idea. This is how I've done it. Feel free to constructively criticise. And I'm going to show you how I'm now going to get the oil into. I'm just going to reuse the oil just now. Now that I know how to do it, I might buy some new fresh oil later on for the next service. But meanwhile, I'll put this oil back in, and I'm going to show you how to do that from a little kit I got from eBay. Okay, so what I've got here is I've got my gearbox oil in there with the magnet in it, but I've also got one of these containers here with a funnel, and they have a little marker on the side so I can actually gauge how much gearbox oil I've got and then top it up as necessary with some new stuff until I do a full proper gearbox oil change. But this is just to get me going just now. So I'm going to do that first. Now I don't know if you can see this, but what I got a right slagging off the boys out the garage for this, but I bought one of these from eBay, an oil extractor pump, and you just basically clip it to the battery and it'll do the work for me. So red one to the positive, black one to the negative, and we should have some power, assuming this battery. So this little hose, this attaches to here, and this one attaches to here. This one sucks out the container, and this one will fill it up into the gearbox. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean these out first, and just probably blow most of it out, and then we'll get on with it. Thanks. I've changed position. I put the oil at the top and it seems to be draining a lot faster because it's quite thick and this little machine can take its time when it's transferring fluids. Well, that's the oil. It managed to go in successfully. I topped up to 2.3 litres. I can only assume it was empty because nothing leaked out of the seal that we fitted earlier. So I'll just screw that back in, put the sensor back on, and then take it for a spin. Hopefully it'll work a treat. Oh, excuse me. I got my armpit there. And set to tighten. Not too tight because that's it, just enough to make sure that it's not going to undo itself. And then, in fact, it's now in the original position it was in, that facing up the weight, so we can then just clip the sensor back on and make a nice clicking noise. Now I'm going to start it up and see if it'll work.